Is there anyone even left playing retail at this point? Let's find out.
If Dragonflight looks good, then why are the numbers bad?
No flame, no flame. This is a legitimate, serious question. So please don't just join in just to comment, oh yeah, I knew the
Another
game was
WoW
dying since they did that thing back in Wrath of the Lich King when I quit.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, technically, is that wrong? I think technically they're correct.
After they did that thing in Legion, I uninstalled and never played again. Talking seriously, this is a question that came up when trying to look up some numbers for a different kind of video, but looking at those numbers made me question, made me wonder about the situation right now. For example, one of the first numbers you can look at is the current amount of population in Mythic Plus.
Okay.
Since we don't have the real numbers from Blizzard anymore, we haven't had them in a while, we can still try to gauge some numbers by, for example...
This is the thing that Bellier uses for his videos to estimate things, but I will argue one thing about these numbers. That the population of World of Warcraft over time has become less hardcore. So these numbers are going to go down over time in general, because Mythic Plus, or Mythic in general, is pretty much hardcore nowadays. It's like, you cannot be more of a hardcore player than Mythic. Oh, and if you are, you're probably like in the top 100 guild in the world, most likely, honestly.
For example, looking at the unique characters completing a Mythic Plus key. And
So that's 2.5 million.
up to patch 10.1.5 of Season 2, the number is 2.5 million.
It's a pretty good amount.
Now, if you compare this to Dragonflight Season 1...
Admittedly, it does also seem like, you know, unique characters. It's like, okay, you do it 2 times on one character, that's still 1 time. But if you do it 5 times on one account, that's still 5 sample sizes. So this is a bit tricky, because... the people who are the most hardcore, aka Mythic in World of Warcraft's case, usually do those hardcore activities on more than one character. So this is most likely, best case scenario, 1.25 in reality. Admittedly, I could be wrong, but I kind of feel like that should be more of the case.
The number is 6.7. So
what the fuck?
That's a huge drop.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's a 1/3
to 2.5, which is like a 2.5
minus
times drop
63%
of unique characters in Mythic Plus.
Jesus.
Now we have comparisons. We have comparisons because, for example, we can go back to Shadowlands and notice that.
Also, I can't do anything about Asmongold's volume being down. His editors are trash monkeys who literally cannot edit it higher. Like, what are you even getting paid for at this point? Ask yourselves this.
Between Season 1, which had 8.2 million, and Season 2, which is 4 million,
so it's like half.
It's a 50%
Is this all Dragonflight?
drop of player
Yeah,
base.
so like Dragonflight lost even more people, which is like, that's crazy. Because, like, you remember Shadowlands Season 1, like, the second half of it was horrible. Like, everybody quit the game.
Yeah.
By the time Season 2 came out, that's whenever people were playing Final Fantasy again. Or for the first time, I mean. That's whenever people quit. Oh, my god.
I mean, maybe they didn't come back. Maybe the reason why we don't actually hear people complaining about World of Warcraft is because all the people who cared have actually left. That's a scary proposition, but it could be real.
As big as what we have now. We also have an even smaller drop from BFA Season 1, which is 4.9 million, to BFA Season 2, which is 4.3.
Oh, that's nothing. That's less than 10%.
So it only went down by 500k in Battle for Azeroth? That's insane.
A very small drop in player base between Season 1 and Season 2 of
14%?
BFA.
Wait, what, did I see the numbers incorrectly?
Then I started thinking what's going on in the raid. Because, for example, if you...
So, and again, keep in mind, like, you still had 4.5 and 4 million. Whereas Dragonflight was 2.5 million. So it's like at least probably 1 million less. Because the season is...
But Dragonflight's opener was better. Oh my god. Wait. So Dragonflight's opener was better, but it lost more people, which means Blizzard is now searching for the reason it lost more people, and they introduced a complex talent point system. Guess what? Guess what's going probably away in the next expansion? They're gonna remove all the complex stuff, because those numbers are pretty clear. The more complex game is, the more it goes down. The less complex game is, the more it goes up. So the talent point system that we currently have is gonna get simplified, boys. It's gonna be insane.
Isn't over yet. And I'm sure like a few more people will complete it by then. What the fuck are those numbers? The logic is wrong? Okay, how's it wrong?
The logic could be wrong, but it's
How's it
not
wrong?
necessarily
Why
100%
bullying
guaranteed
viewers? They're
wrong.
bullying me by saying by being wrong. I'm being bullied by their opinions. The fact that they exist.
Oh boy. He's not joking. Also, by the way, I hate this. It's like, okay, you can't ever win an argument if someone is speaking and your option is to write back. There is no way. In the time you're writing something, that person is probably going to introduce more things that you need to answer, nuance, and things like that. So I dislike this approach. Because there's no way to not look like a complete idiot if you're writing back like this while someone's talking. Just in general.
Oh my god, how long you gotta cook? Well, we gotta preheat the oven?
Probably, yeah. Most things require oven preheating.
I think he ran away. Guys, I think he ran away.
You look at the first tier of this expansion. Let's not look.
By the way, running away from such an easy to defend argument is kind of insane. But, you know, most likely it's gonna be hard to prove. Because these numbers are as good as it's gonna get, considering Blizzard doesn't give the real deal.
Look at mythic raiding, because that's, you know, too small of a part of the player base to draw some numbers. You can look at heroic to see a much larger player base. If you go past the middle, besides the first freebie bosses, how many guilds, how many players went past the middle of the raid? It was, you know, 13,500 in the first tier of this expansion, compared to the first tier of Shadowlands, which was Castelnati.
Wait. Oh, he's back there. No, actually, let me use those numbers. Now, the thing is about heroic and mythic should be the fact that the people who do mythic are also the ones who are doing heroic. So, you should actually like minus this number from this, and then we know more or less the true thing. But doesn't seem exactly. I'm assuming this is the first boss, right? So this is half. It's really hard to translate things like this, because the people who do heroic probably at least attempt mythic, right? So things like this are hard to gauge, and I do not like these kind of numbers, because these are too much speculation. If the people who just, you know, do and complete mythic plus is fine, then stuff like this, a bit too hard to gauge for an accurate number estimation.
It was, you know, 13,500 in the first tier of this expansion, compared to the first tier of Shadowlands, which was Castelnatria. It's not 13,500, it's 30,000 in Castel. No flame. Huh. This is a legitimate, serious question.
Oh my god. He's back and he responded. He only takes data from Raider.io. That's what I said. You said the logic is wrong. He only takes the data from Raider.io.
But where does Raider.io get its data from? Maybe the data it takes it from is some kind of, you know, overall thing. I don't fucking know. It's kind of hard to speculate, honestly, on these numbers, considering I see this, for example, for the first time in my life.
So this is an apple pie. Let's say it's a pumpkin pie. And I take a slice out of the pumpkin pie. Is that slice still pumpkin pie? Yes. Okay.
Oh, that's...
Nathria. And then the tier before, which...
Okay. Okay. To make this analogy understandable for people, considering it was abrupt and random, so Raider.io is a thing that people download, it seems like. At least that would explain it. So, Raider.io takes its data from not the whole thing, but a part of it, which I'm assuming is some kind of add-on that you maybe download. I could be completely wrong here, by the way, because I have no fucking clue. But this is my speculation, because that's the way... that's the analogy he gave. And his analogy is, okay, maybe Raider.io is just a small slice of all the population, but its data should be reflective of the overall situation, even though it's a smaller data sample. Essentially, the idea is like this: if the sample is big enough, you can ask 1 million people a question, and you're gonna get, this many 70% of people answered like this, 30% answer like this. And then if you ask like 10 million people, you're still gonna be roughly like at that 70% of people answered like this and 30 like this, because the data sample is large enough so that it doesn't matter if it's increased or decreased. Which, if Raider.io is some kind of add-on, could not necessarily be correct, by the way. And the reason for that is, if we're talking about an add-on, we need to take into an account what kind of people use this add-on. Maybe if this is an add-on, by the way, maybe that add-on is only used, for example, by hardcore players. Maybe no mid-level player actually ever uses it, because it's like, for advanced players or whatever. That is an actual valid question that needs to be answered. From where that slice of the pie is gotten. Because maybe that slice of the pie is a slice of the pumpkin pie, but maybe that slice is the first one to become moldy. You never know.
Which was dear, it's 27,000. Same goes for the second tier. The second tier of BFA was Battlezar lore with 16,000. The second tier of BFA was Battlezar lore with 6.
No, I don't even think that's even accurate. Because y'all remember Battle of Dazar lore, Mechatork was fucking hard on Heroic. This was actually hard because you had to actually go inside the robots and do the and do the communication. So like, I actually don't even think this is a good example. Like, I would say.
Wait, how does this, by the way, work? Yeah, Jaina Proudmon is the last boss, right? Yeah, I'm not mistaken on that part. So how is it possible that the before Jaina Proudmoore boss gets killed less than the Jaina Proudmoore? Can you get to her while ignoring other bosses? Because that should be the only way that this part is possible. Just kind of a little bit questionable.
I think it's more like 18 or like closer to 20k. Because so many people just got filtered by that one boss.
16,000. The second tier of Sanctum was 17,000, and now the second tier of Aberrus is 11. So in basically both Mythic Plus and the Raid, you have seen a quite significant drop.
Yeah, I definitely have questions about these numbers, but okay.
Of players, more
it's not
so
like I'm gonna
Mythic
figure
Plus
them out
compared
randomly
to the Raid. And perhaps one of the most common answers could be right now, for example, that, well, 10.1.5 came in, broke all of Mythic Plus, and now nobody wants to play because there is just Exodia dominating everywhere, which, makes sense
for
on a first
Plus,
glance.
actually,
when you think about it, the numbers of the players in Season 2 before 10.1.5 was still on track to be a third of the players of Season 1. Well,
yeah, it's still a lot less. Like, it doesn't matter how you slice it, it's still way less.
Before patch 10.1.5 came through and warped the meta of Mythic Plus. So even that is not, it's not quite the full excuse or the full reason as to what is happening right now when it comes to the numbers. Now, what I found interesting about this and made me question the situation is that if you think about it,
right,
most players, I don't want to talk for everyone, but I would say the majority of players would be, I would say, content, maybe even almost happy with the rate and the speed and the amount of content being released in this expansion's patches.
I feel like Dragonflight has released a lot of content. I do. I think that it's released a tremendous amount of content. The reason why I haven't really played it that much is because it's just the same stuff that we've already had. Like, am I crazy? Like, it's...
I don't know.
Like, you just do... You download it. Yeah, why would I do it? It's like, I'm gonna go farm the same dungeon again. Like, I fundamentally don't find Mythic Plus fun.
Okay.
I don't find it fun to go through a dungeon and be locked into that dungeon for like a half hour. And if you lose focus for even a slight second, you can die, and then you lose timer, and then you can deplete the key. It's like, oh my god, like the amount of focus that needs is just crazy. Like, you compare that to a boss fight, for example. And it's like a boss fight takes a few minutes and then it's over. And you can just take a second and then come back and then focus again. Like, it's just, holy fuck, man. It's so drawn out.
The expansion where...
I mean, that's the point of Mythic Plus, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it, though?
We are starting to get in between patches, so patches like 10.0.5 or 10.1.5 and now 10.1.7 coming out in a week, where, you know, actual content, right? We're not getting a full patch with just a selfie camera as an actual addition to the game. We're actually getting additions, extras, new game modes, new systems, etc., being introduced into the game, whether it is things like adding the trading post, adding things like dragon riding races, adding more...
all those things are nice. They're all good, for sure. Yeah.
Or bits of stories or game modes like the time rifts or the upcoming dream surges, reworks of specs and classes coming in between patches, etc. So you would be thinking that given the speed of the content being released, more players would be satisfied with the content available. When you compare...
I think Blizzard is just focused too much on making the current player base happy and not actually attracting a new audience. I think that...
I mean, attracting a new audience is called literally World of Warcraft too. There's too much systems, there's too much random junk, there's too much, well, everything in World of Warcraft to attract new people with.
That's what the issue is. Because, like, if you watch people play retail WoW, unless you play the game, you don't know what's even happening on the screen.
Yep.
The game is so tremendously over-designed and unnecessarily complex that it's not fun to play. Now, that's my personal opinion. Obviously, other people think the game right now is amazing, and they love the game. They think the game is great, and I'm happy for them. But...
Are you, though?
I don't feel that way. It's just stressful. There's so much going on. There's so much bloat.
Make it easier. Don't worry, Asmon. They're gonna make it easier next patch. Well, not next patch, but next expansion. It's okay. Boomers are gonna get their time to shine again.
In the game.
Easier talent tree systems. You don't even have to read. It's gonna do it automatically for you.
What is this? Yeah, the add-ons, like the add-on meta. Oh my god. Like, add-ons, I feel like every expansion, add-ons have become a bigger and bigger part of the game. And at this point, it's like they are the game. Like, you have, like, weak auras, deadly boss mods, I guess the UI is kind of fixed, to be fair. You have your details. You have, like, all these fucking spreadsheets and all this stuff you have to keep up with. Bag on. Yeah, ERT, like, what the fuck, man? Like,
I never understood people who actually use add-ons to you know, for bags. That's just so strange, in my opinion.
It's just exhausting to even start it.
Is with the wasteland, the empty, barren desert that was the speed of patches in Shadowlands, there is a massive difference. Daily reminder to everyone who forgot that Shadowlands now holds the record of the slowest release.
1 and 2 patches. Yeah, definitely, I agree. I only hear this take from people who have played the game a lot, which is a normal perspective and outlook if you've dedicated hundreds, if not thousands of hours into the game. But I mean, like, I think it's the opposite. I actually think that new players are the ones that are really getting gatekept more than anything. Because new players are the ones that don't understand 17 different nuances of CC. They're the ones that don't understand, like, all of the different add-ons and all of the different nameplate things and all of the different cast bars and all of the different debuffs. They're the ones that are having a bad time. That's why PvP is dead. Solo Shuffle is good, but PvP is still dying.
I mean, PvP from a new player's perspective is absolutely dead, by the way. Think about it. You need to go into a game. You know, not only need to learn your rotation, which is who knows how fucking random in PvP, right? But you also need to learn what other classes do. So you don't run in a situation where you stun them and they're just not stunned for some stupid reason. You have no clue what's happening. That is the problem with classes being complicated, because if someone wants to PvP, they need to know every other class also, not just their own.
Honestly, I think it's dead. There's just too much in the game, man. Because you have, like, basically, the game just continues to be designed for the top 1% of players, and those 1% of players continuously get better at the game, while everybody new who's coming into the game is still at the same baseline. Because there are new players all the time. There's the churn. So you have, like, the game that's continuously getting harder where the base player stays the same. I feel like I'm having a fucking, like, an income disparity conversation. But this is what's happening in WoW. Like, now you have these raids, there's, like, a million fucking things happening. There's, like, 7 different effects that are occurring at the same time. There's, like, trash mobs with 3 different abilities, and there's 4 different trash mobs. What the fuck? And no...
Man, the fact that trash mobs actually take your time in World of Warcraft, by the way, is so fucking stupid. Like, trash in World of Warcraft should honestly not even exist. Or it should be literally just group them, instantaneously mow them down, and move on to the next boss. Like, come on.
I don't think the solution to this is...
No one liked trash mobs from the beginning of the game. No one likes trash mobs now.
On an easier difficulty where nothing does any damage. That's not satisfying to just get hit by everything and then win anyway. It doesn't feel good.
And the longest gap between the release of the expansion and the first patch, because Shadowlands was released at the end of November and 9.1 came out on July the 6th. So we are talking about 7+ months before even getting the first patch even out of the expansion. So the gap in content is of course much shorter in this expansion, and you have presumably way more things to do. So you would be thinking that the player base would have more reasons to stay, busy, to stay entertained in the game. But
there's not really, like, people want... The reason why Classic WoW is so good is because all you have to do is you log on, you show up for the raid, you move left, and you collect loot.
True.
That's why it's good. I think that MMOs become bad whenever they start being designed for the people that play them 24 hours a day. This is exactly what happened to Lost Ark as well. Lost Ark, the fights were great. You had Volten. Vicus was, like, way fucking harder. Then you had Belshazzar. 6 gates. Are you fucking kidding me?
Vicus actually was fun. I know that's a kind of a rare opinion. Well, let me put it this way. I have said it once, I'll say it again. If you don't call every boss in a game shit, the bosses are badly made. Because the hard fights are gonna be shit, and the fun fights are the hard fights. So Lost Ark honestly kinda has done a good job at it. But yeah, I kinda see where he's at the point that, Vicus, definitely was a step up from Voltan. But then again, Voltan was a huge step up from Argos. And Argos was a huge step up from the Neptune, Poseidon, sea god, whatever he was supposed to be. So yeah, every single time it's a step up technically. Oh yeah, Clown was like, yeah, we forgot about good old Clowny boy. Clown was an absolute step up from Vicus. Like, Jesus.
And then everybody's quitting the game. Holy shit. Like, that's the problem. So MMOs are only good for brain dead people?
Yes.
Yes.
Obviously,
Whenever you have
by the way.
20 people in the same spot, adding in 5 simultaneous mechanics.
And yeah, again, I said they're gonna make the next expansion easier. It's like because you can't like I find World of Warcraft's current talent points are what I like, but I'm like 1% of the player base that actually would like that type of talent point. Everyone else wants like just like a simple choice, and most of the time people do. Wait, this is a psychological thing, but the reality is people don't like choices. When people are given choices, they tend to go away from those choices because they are afraid to pick the wrong thing. And even if you can respec it instantaneously, that doesn't change the fact that they're afraid to make the wrong decision. So, the less choice a person has, the more happy they are.
That will cause a group failure. It is not fun to do progress with 99% of people.
True,
and the
though.
1% it is fun to do progress with, there's a bunch of other problems that can occur.
I mean, that's true, but then again, I was European. We just pugged Vicus. You know? When Clown came out, Vicus already was full pug mode. And, Valtan the same thing. It's like, and people didn't even care. Like, no one checked for the highest level of, what were they called? Gems or whatever? Bruh, if you had just 3 full things in the appropriate item level, yeah, congratulations, you're in the raid. Maybe some people care that you have 4 of, I forgot what they're called, but 4 times 9 or whatever it was called. I forgot, man. It's been a while. But yeah, no one even cared that, at least in Europe. In America, it was probably a different situation. But man, it's not that hard.
On top of that. So, no, it's not fucking fun. No, most people don't want to do this. It's exhausting. Especially whenever you're playing the game and you're constantly, it's like you're, what was that game? Bop It? The one like the where it goes like, you hit the thing, goes like, beep, 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 burp, burp. Like, that's what you're hearing.
By the way, America, did your Vicus, not Vicus, but did your Valtan pugs, when Vicus was already farmable, still do the ball mechanic in Gate 1? That everyone just goes to the bottom of the map and stays while one person weighs? Or did you all just stand in a circle and do that? Because Europe got to the point where everyone just took their ball at appropriate time pretty fast in pubs.
You're hearing like, move, boo, like some fucking sonar sound, and then, oh, there's an alarm bell. It's like you're in the White House and somebody just got onto the premises. Like you're hearing this all the time doing a boss fight. Like, it's got to increase people's blood pressure. Bop it, pull it, spin it. Yeah, what the fuck?
Is said and done, even though, sure, fine, these numbers are not definitive, they are not really,
Yeah, and also, yeah, good point this guy brings up. Nobody wants garbage loot from lower difficulties, and Mythic is too much work, therefore no one raids.
Yeah.
It's that simple. The reason why
I have been advocating for a loot system where, this is your normal dungeons, and and your gear is like 98% of maximum stats that it can get. And like, then you have Mythic, and it's like 99% stats of the maximum loot that you can get. And then you have Mythic Plus, where it's 100% of the maximum stats that you can get. Why doesn't World of Warcraft do it? You still get a reward, but you don't punish people for, not going into Mythic Plus. Why not do it?
Classic, and the reason why Burning Crusade and Wrath, to a lesser extent, are so successful is because they're fucking easy. They are fucking easy. That's it. Because most people that play the game are bad. And the people that are
Burning Crusade was not easy. I gave up when I needed to bug for attunements. It was horrible. I just stopped playing. When it takes you 3 hours to get a tank, nah, man, I'm gone, boy. I'm gone. I quit. I really quit because I needed to get attunements, and the main guild tank, well, no guild tank was on because tanks hated the game, and finding a pug tank literally took 3 hours. So I just quit the game. Pretty simple solution.
Rating, they have good gear. It feels good to kill Ragnaros and get the Onslaught belt. Onslaught girdle. It feels good. Even though killing Ragnaros is easy.
Yep.
It still feels good. Nobody wants to settle for doing a brain-dead raid difficulty to get mediocre gear. The quality of the game is always going to be based on what do I need to do in order to be a cutting-edge player. And the truth is, a lot of casual players could keep up, and then over time, especially whenever Cataclysm came out, the raiding difficulty has gotten higher and higher and higher. The amount of things that you have to do in the game has gotten higher and higher and higher. And every single time that happens, more people quit the game. That's it. Less and less players? Yes, exactly. And that's why you have less and less players. Let's just don't want to be the reminder of the brain power raid mechanics you'll soon forget. Well, it's also about, like, it's not even about being bad. Like, for me, like, whenever I did Old War, and, like, somebody got hit by Mimiron's beam. Okay, well, mistakes happen. Let's try it again. Somebody got hit by Mimiron's beam again.
Classic.
All right. Okay, somebody got hit by the rocket strike. Guys, I gotta go. I gotta go. I'm done.
Yep.
I'm out. Right? Like, that's it. I just don't want to deal with it. That's the way I think a lot of people feel. And you add 20 people into that, and it's just not fun. At the end of the day, people play video games usually to relax and to have fun. And retail WoW, watch this gameplay. This is a trash pack. This gameplay is not relaxing.
Telling the full story of the amount of the players, etc., etc. There are always some, asterisks here and there, etc., etc. But
yeah, there's so much stuff going on. It's like, what the fuck? Look at this. Look at this. How many is that? 6. Wait. 22. 30 buffs. To do 2D buffs, it looks like. Jesus.
you can still try to
30
draw
buffs,
a few
boys.
conclusions based on
What a
these
time
numbers.
to be alive.
Now, there might also be attached to this question as to why there are seemingly at least fewer players some other caveats, perhaps also known as cope angles, some copium takes, like for example, we are getting through the summer. We have, more players interested in doing other things, going on vacation, taking a break from staying inside, etc., etc. You also have gotten the release of the later patch 10.1 and then 10.1.5.
Back in Burning Crusade, whenever BC came out, that BC was released in like June or July. I think it was released in June.
Yeah, but we were young then.
And
we had
everybody
time.
played BC.
Yeah, true, but we had time then.
Into the release of other anticipated games, for example, whether it was earlier on Overwatch 2, into Diablo 4, into Baldur's Gate, into
examples.
now eventually Path of Exile, etc., etc. So maybe
That is true. I think this does play TBC as January.
Who gives a shit?
TBC was released on, I think, January 7th of 2007. I'm not talking about TBC in 2007. I'm talking about TBC in 2000.
I was literally underage
TBC
then.
was released in like June 2nd or something like that, 2021. There's a lot of shit on the UI to keep track of. Yes, there is.
you have gotten more players drawn in to be busy somewhere else, for example. But it is still overall an interesting thing to think about. Without any,
I do think that like now there are a lot more people. Like there are a lot of games out. Like if there were no new games out, I'd probably be playing WoW right now.
True.
But because Starfield is coming out, because Blasphemous 2 came out, because Baldur's Gate 3 came out. Like, for me, I haven't played that one, but I played Armored Core 6 because all these other games have come out. Diablo 4 came out. Like, I'm playing other games. It's a great year for games.
To be necessarily negative. I am one
And that
of
does take
those
people away from
players,
WoW.
apparently
For
it's
sure.
not even that much of a widespread take, who believes that there is nothing wrong when playing an MMO or one of those, you know, always online, always growing your character or your profile every day type of game, who believes that, you know, if you're bored for a while, if you're bored for a bit, you can just stop playing, you can just go and enjoy something else, and then when you are interested again, you can come back. So I don't think that's necessarily wrong, but it's interesting that in the expansion where there might have been the largest amount and also more importantly the fastest amount of content being released, it is also simultaneously the one where it seems like the player numbers are getting lower faster.
And I think also, like, there's a vibe check. I really think this is the case, right? I think it's a fucking vibe check. WoW doesn't have the same vibe that it had in classic WoW.
Oh, of course.
It doesn't have the vibe of the 2000, the fucking Warcraft 2 game manual of the Metzen drawings of a guy holding up the severed head of another guy. It doesn't have the vibe of Ner'zhul with his hand over Gul'dan, like anointing him into becoming a warlock.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore. And I think that matters.
Porn doesn't feel the same when I was a kid, man. It was so much better. True.
Because a lot of the people that play WoW are fucking 25 to 40-year-old men. If I had to guess, I would say actually 45. 25 to 45. I think that if the majority of people, I would probably bet the majority of people, over 50% are in that category.
Probably.
25 to 45-year-old males. They want to watch He-Man, Conan the fucking Barbarian.
Not really.
They like Frazetta. And they want to see big hairy dudes killing big hairy dudes. And
that's basically true.
They don't want to hear about some king talking about his fucking feelings. They don't want to hear about Nozdormu having an
How we doing, Alliance players?
existential crisis and this girl putting her head on his shoulder. You'll be okay, honey. It's okay. Get the fuck out of here. What is this pussy shit? Get the like, it's just like, if you go back and you look at the Diablo 2 cinematics,
dude,
that
was a guy
is what we want.
Well, multiple.
I want that.
Yep.
Exactly. And hot women and not fruits. Yes. Like, remember the Warlords of Draenor cinematic?
No.
There were only big, hairy, sweaty men. That was it. That was the entire cinematic. Best cinematic ever. On par with Wrath of the Lich King, and if it wasn't for nostalgia, WoD would be ahead. It's fucking amazing. And that was the vibe the game used to have. That's why WoD brought the subs back up to 10 million. It's because people saw that, and they said, this is what I remember. This is what the golden days used to be like.
And then you got Draenor.
Not a bunch of fucking furries and femboys flying around on dragons. Get the fuck out of here. What is this shit?
Do you think Asmongold owns a pair of thigh-high socks? Place your bets. I think he does.
What is going on? I'm losing my mind.
Compared at the very least to the numbers of the modern version of the game, from Legion to BFA to Shadowlands and now to Dragonflight. We will, of course, see how things will be changing in about a couple of months. So likely from now until then, this situation will likely continue. Not many players will have too many reasons in coming back until we start seeing the content available in 10.2 and what's going to come in 10.2, etc., etc.
Oh,
so
no, that's just the basic mob.
Releases, we will be able to see the growth, how many players were able to get interested back
Damn,
into the
that's
game.
stupid.
But for now, I guess we are left with this question of
That's the problem.
Why do you have, like... I thought this was a boss. I thought this was a boss.
It's that the game, like, what the fuck is going on here? So you've got right here, this is, I think, some sort of cooldown tracking.
Idea.
This tracks the amount of reses that are available. This is his health bar. These are the health bars and all of the buffs as well as debuffs that are on all the different players in his group. This is his active rotation. This is his mana. These are his holy points. This is the enemy that he's attacking. These right here are the interrupts that are all available. You've got counterspell, silence, whatever the what is it, like scaly shutdown? I don't know what it's called. The evoker interrupt. Rebuke, and then you have Skull Bash. These are the interrupts for all of the different types of different casters, or sorry, for spells that like each character has. This right here, I'm not even really sure what that is. Oh, those are all of the buffs that are available on the NPC. That also, this will show important debuffs as well. This is his damage that's being dealt. Over here, this is the timer for the key. It shows what key level it is. It shows, obviously, the timer that's left. If you're able to get 3 chests, this is a 2 chests, this is 1 chest, whatever. This is the percentage that he has. And then this right over here is the damage done for the current encounter, as well as the healing done for the...
You can very much see how balanced this is, by the way. that Defiant Mage is out DPSing everyone by an absolute landslide.
Current encounter, and this also is target of target right here, which shows that the target of the target that he's targeting is indeed the tank, which means that the tank has aggro. These, of course, are the buttons that are down below that tell you, you know, like what spells you have.
In short, it's a shit show.
This up here, every single buff here has a
Always
different purpose
is.
and a meaning. There are 2 rows of them, and each row has 12 buffs, I believe, or 11, something like that. I don't remember. And so we have somewhere about 25 buffs you need to be aware of all the time. And then also you have your debuffs underneath that. Then you, of course, have your map. This is not really actually used a lot, ironically. And this will tell you exactly where you are in the map. So this is what the fuck is going on here?
So it's more like a GPS than a map.
Oh yeah, BDO, what a great game. 20,000 people play it. Who gives a fuck? Like, BDO is a great game, but it's nothing like WoW. And I'll say the same thing about BDO. It's way over designed. Do you really need 75 different food buffs in BDO? Get the fuck out of here. No, you don't. It's insane. So yes, I also, like, I talk about BDO too, but like I haven't played that a lot recently, so I have no idea. But listen, like, that's why people aren't going to play the game, is because nobody even knows what's happening in it. You can, like, for example, whenever we were watching, here's a really good way to say it, right? Whenever we were watching whatever this fucking video was, Bad Armored Core videos. Like, I'm not actually going to play the video. I'm just going to, or listen to the video, but I just want to listen to it, watch it for a second. We can watch the gameplay that's happening here, and we can appreciate whether the gameplay is being done properly or not, right?
Yep.
You can be like, oh yeah, he's going to be able to get behind him and get the hit. Oh, he didn't make it. Okay, well, he's going to have to try and go again, right? And like Armored Core has a lot of things on the UI. And even this is so easy to understand compared to this. It's that simple. You can't even understand what's happening. Like, people cannot even appreciate, people can't appreciate good play in the game. You don't even know what it looks like.
Why the expansion with so much more and faster content releases doesn't seem to be doing nearly as well as expected at the very least. So I'm going to leave you with this question mark down in the comments. What do you think is the problem right now? If you think it's perhaps just a problem of maybe when the game is being...
I think also another thing is that Shadowlands and BFA were kind of bad, and because they were bad, people don't want to go back and play WoW again. It's that simple. The game was bad, and they didn't want to come back, and that's it, you know?
Yeah, you can only make the game bad so many
release,
times.
maybe
Especially
the type
Shadowlands,
of
yeah.
content being released, maybe the competition of other games, maybe the loss of trust of players towards Blizzard, created
Yeah.
perhaps by the damages
I mean,
done.
by the way, the damage that Shadowland did is so large it can't even be quantified. Because I returned on Shadowlands because mommy Sylvanas, okay? I'm a simple man at the end of the day. I returned, and so did a lot of people, by the way, because Shadowlands could have been cool. You know? Shadowlands kind of almost sold it for a lot of people. And then when you see how bad the game actually is, it's like, okay, all the people who thought that Shadowlands is the time to return, they returned, they played it, and they fucking left. And they're probably never returning. Because so much hopes were placed, and so little was delivered, it's just, it's not worth it.
By Shadowlands, for example, one of these many possible reasons, whichever you may think, it's the issue right now. But besides this, I'm going to leave you to the rest of your yet another reset of WoW on this Wednesday. So, with these things out of the way, we are starting as usual our goodbyes by thanking all of the Patreon supporters for the contribution and the help to the growth of the channel. Help which can still be given, as always, for free by liking and commenting down below, as well as subscribing to the channel itself. So, with these things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching. See you guys tomorrow.
I really actually appreciate like him looking at the numbers like this. Like I love numbers, bro. Numbers, percentages, statistics. I want to see a page full of numbers. And that's going to tell you what the truth is.
Okay, we're gonna stop there before I fucking off myself. If you want to know how good Asmongold is, go find my video where I laugh about how Asmongold can't even read a single fucking line in a graph correctly. Bruh. It's pain. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sense, and thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Oh, bye-bye.